Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of From the Fourth Line. My name's Emma, and I'm joined, as always, by my very special co-host,
I thought you were going
Marcie.
to say very special friend.
My very special. This is my special. Like how, like, no, we.
I was really sorry. I was like, she's not going to say very special friend.
My very lovely co-host, Marcie. Wow, that was our second attempt at doing the intro for this episode, and somehow the first one was better.
Somehow.
But it is episode 50.
Woo!
Yay! That's kind of cool that we've been doing 50 of these. Well, 50 plus. We have a couple of bonus episodes out there, but 50 true scheduled episodes twice a week. And you guys actually listen to them. So
it's a miracle.
Now
I'm still here.
Okay, I thought Marcie was leaving me again, and
no, sorry, it was raining and I didn't want that. I didn't want it to rain on my Lego.
Oh, it was actually raining this time. Well, we're here. I don't know where to. I guess we could start with Toronto first, and then that'll lead nicely into talking about Worlds, and then we could talk about all the other playoff series, including PWHL, because that has been some exciting playoffs to watch. So I guess, yeah, on Friday, Toronto front office, that was Keith Pelly, the CEO of MLSE, Brendan Shanahan, and Brad Schlipping had their press conference that was supposed to be scheduled on Thursday, and then they moved it, and it totally then, I think it was good because instead of us, right off the bat it allowed us to give like a weekend to kind of process everything we heard out of that press conference instead of like going right after it happened. It was a long press conference though.
It was. I whilst it was on, I managed to make my lunch, eat my lunch, and do the washing up.
I was on the train, so I missed part of it because we went through a section where like a part where it was like we had one bar service, and so therefore could not watch the entire thing live, but like it was a fair bit. Like I had gotten on my train and like had gotten basically to like Smith Falls by the time it was over, from Ottawa to Smith Falls, which for those who are very familiar with the Ottawa to Toronto train via rail train travel, you would know sort of how long that took.
I'm just gonna nod and pretend
that you do know. I realize that was a very specific and like niche way of telling time, being like that way, but it was interesting. Like there was a couple of quotes that really stood out. I first do want to go through the injuries because we did get some injury updates. Bobby McMahon had an MCL sprain that he suffered versus Detroit back in April. Which is unfortunate. They said, if we had gone to the second round, he probably would have been good to go in game 2 or 3. Which is unfortunate
news for Bobby McMahon Nation.
Yeah, I think, and like you would have think of maybe the impact. Like I know one player doesn't change team, but it could have been that like extra bit of offense because he was on a pretty hot streak going like before he got hurt. Going in, like it could have been that. It could have been that like extra oomph to the offensive part of the Leafs that we needed. Also, MCL sprains suck. Knee injuries are garbage, and wishing Bobby McMahon all the best. Austin Matthews had an illness post game 2. They didn't specify what. They were like, we suspected it could have been food poisoning or something else. And then had hit on game 4. They didn't say if it was a concussion. They were like kind of hinting towards concussion / head injury, which like that's why he got pulled out before the third period and didn't return for the third period and missed game 5 and 6, which like good on the Leafs doctors. We don't mess around with head injuries, and I feel like I'm glad that at least certain, I don't want to say the league as a whole, but like when it comes to, I don't want to say like preventing, but at least like when it comes to pulling players out of games, that gets taken very seriously.
Yeah.
Because we are then about to talk about like Connor McDavid getting a cross check to the head. So later this episode. So like we can't say that like we've gotten better as a league with checks to the head because like in terms of them happening, they still happen. But like in terms of the other stuff, yeah, protocols. We've gotten better at the protocols.
Yes.
Connor Dewar was having shoulder surgery the day of the press conference, so that was May 10th. To repair what? I don't know. I don't know how long he was playing with that injury. I don't know. It must have been some time to warrant shoulder surgery, but should be. I will. And then Joseph Wool suffered a sprain SI joint. And that last save attempt in game 6, that like 0.1, that last like 0.1 seconds of game 6 truly was just the worst, apparently. He's suffered a sprained SI joint, which is like your lower back. It's the joint that connects your spine to your pelvis. I did have to Google that and
I
look
hate
it up.
everything. I hate everything.
Yeah, so
I mean, it truly does show that he was in fact carrying the entire team
on his back.
on his back, and it just got too much.
Got to it, but yeah, when it comes to Connor Dewar, I want to highlight specifically because when Brad Treliving was listing off the injuries, he talked about Connor Dewar and he said specifically should be ready to go by the start of training camp. I don't think he said will. I think the word he used was should, which is interesting for a guy who's a pending RFA to use that terminology. And if you think it was an accident, I'm going to tell you this. These guys are very good at getting schooled on what to and what not to say. So potentially we could be seeing this summer a contract extension for Connor Dewar in the Leafs. So I don't want to be like, I'm guaranteeing it. It's absolutely going to happen, but it does look pretty likely just based on the vocabulary that Brad Treliving uses, and he's always very deliberate with what he says, like most NHL GMs. Right?
Yeah.
Would love to have Connor Dewar back. And for anyone who criticized his play, now I can use the excuse he was probably hurt.
Our favorite.
Not that I've seen a lot of people criticize his play at all this season. I think a lot of people are saying how
very positive about
how it's been a good pickup for the Leafs, which I think it has been. Yeah, there's also some interesting quotes. One Keith Pelly quote that I have written down that he said basically right off the bat was that good is simply not good enough, and that he wants to win, and that's why he's here, aka why he's with MLSE, which is probably also a message he shares in report to the Toronto Raptors as well. They've had a rough season this year, which is an understatement. Toronto sports, it's been not fun. The only good thing we have going right now in Toronto sports is PWHL, which is just feminism at its finest.
Good thing in the world right now.
Yeah.
And ever.
But yeah, I have a couple quotes that I've bookmarked them. Thank you, Luke Fox and David Alter.
Thank you.
The first one that I have that I think this is from Keith Pelly. I think we'll stick with the Keith Pelly for a second. Brendan Shanahan is the president of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He is a champion. He's a 3-time Stanley Cup winner. That sort of just like further solidifies that I don't think the Shana plan is coming to an end this off season. Yeah. There could be changes because Keith Pelly kept reiterating over and over and over again, hey, I've only been here 4 weeks.
Yeah. That was every time I think about like the entire press conference, all I can think of is, well, he's only been here for 4 weeks.
That was a lot of what he said was like, I've only been here 4 weeks. I don't really it was, I think it very much solidified being like, I don't really know what I'm not getting myself into, but like,
getting himself into.
Yeah, I hope he does know what he's getting himself into.
Yeah,
but
it's going to be a lovely surprise for him if not.
But yeah, more of the thing of like, I haven't yet been able, I've only been here 4 weeks. Takes a long time to sort of see the sort of things of like, hey, should I fire this guy? When it's the president of hockey ops who's kind of like dipped his fingers in every aspect of this team. Like Brendan Shanahan has found a way to so deeply embed himself into the Toronto Maple Leafs as a franchise to the point where he may have better job security than Gary Bettman.
Genuinely. Like, there's no wiggling him out of it. He's very much.
He's like in just like in so many different aspects of this team without even doing much. I do not know what Brendan Shanahan does besides tell Kyle Dubas no and attend meetings.
I mean, that could just be it.
And I only know he tells Kyle Dubas no because of that one All or Nothing clip where, who was it even that they were trying to trade for? It was like something that resulted in the Mark Giordano trade. And it was like, there was some other guy that Kyle really wanted and Brendan Shanahan said no. I don't even remember who that player was, and then they ended up getting Mark Giordano. And then Luke Fox, who asked specifically about this, but I have the quote from David Alter. It was Luke Fox who asked this question, which like the balls on this guy to ask this straight outright is crazy. Brendan Shanahan asked specifically about John Tavares and Mitch Marner's situation, doesn't answer directly, saying it'll be premature, but also adding that everything is on the table. Which, like, you fired the last guy who said that. This is it. I think there's like a direct quote. Oh, here it is. This is a direct quote via Luke Fox. We will look at everything this summer and we will consider everything this summer. It sounds very similar to what Kyle Dubas said in his end of season press conference last year, and he was fired less than 24 hours later.
How interesting.
Which is very interesting. And then it makes you wonder, like, if like maybe trading Mitch Marner or John Tavares was the reason why Kyle Dubas got fired, or if it was something more to do with like he wanted more control over the team that Brendan Shanahan was not going to give him.
No, I don't know. Really did tell him no.
And then he really did tell him no. I don't know. It's not, I don't want to like get into like the gossipy aspects of why Kyle Dubas got fired a year ago. But it does make you it's very interesting on the dynamics that exist in that, and it's very interesting. Also as well,
getting fired was such a time.
Like,
it happened at the worst time as well, because I was in the middle of a week-long exam. And then I had to sit and be like, well, what's going to happen now? So I have another week-long exam starting on Thursday. So if any, and I mean anything, happens within that week, you will never hear from me again.
I don't even know like what I definitely was like starting my internship at that point. And he had gotten like fired. I don't know. And then also more like Brad Treliving specifically spoke on Joseph Wool, said he had a lot of trust in Wool. Like he believes in him, which is very different than how he spoke on Ilya Samsonov.
Yeah.
And then also this is direct quote. The biggest question with Joe is he seems to get injured a lot. Brad Treliving on Wool says team needs to look at Wool's off-season training.
Yeah, well, my one thing to that is, have you considered not overworking him? I get that he has had his fair share of injuries, but also the ankle was because he was overworked.
The ankle was also to bring it back to a classic Wool quote, goofy body.
I love that quote. Every time I remember that he has used the word goofy on multiple occasions, it cracks me up because I'm like, that's so him.
Goofy body. And I always think about that, and then I also think about it in like tandem with him describing Matthew Nyes as a guy who has a stiff body, who maybe could loosen it up on the dance floor at a wedding.
Oh, I love this.
What a guy.
What a guy.
What a guy.
Oh dear.
But yeah, that was something. Joseph Wool sometimes has the best quotes.
Oh, honestly.
There's
Like
always
he doesn't realize how genuinely entertaining he is to just like listen to.
he always like I think every time he talks to the media in some way or another, he always has just like a fantastic quote to come out of it. That's like, yeah, that's a good one. But
Honorable mentions are what happened to our life?
what happened to our life? That's him walking it. Actually, no, because he's on social media now. So
Yeah.
it's not like he'll be walking into day one of training camp going, what happened to our
Whoa.
lives?
Oh, do you
Which
reckon that gets brought up in like the little group chats they have? And they just go, "Hey Joe, what happened to our lines?"
I always wonder, like, because it's like on some hand you think like it could be like the team group chat could be very very professional of like it's for like need this thing, this like, like very clinical almost. And sometimes I'm like, someone's gotta just like send in memes.
You've got to have, like, even if it's a very professional, you've got to have someone.
Matthew Nyes is
Yeah.
sending in little CapCut videos.
She does his little edits.
Little edits on CapCut. I don't know who's gonna get up the image flip. What's the meme generator? Do you use that one sometimes? Who's sending those in?
Oh, what? Good times. Oh no, but I just think that group chat must be just the most batshit thing.
I always want to know like what what each team's group chat is named. Like, is it something really professional where it's like 2023, 2024 Toronto Maple Leafs, or is it like some weird inside joke and it gets changed like every like 3 weeks?
Yeah, I need to know.
My
This is why give us media passes. We will ask the questions that
we will be like,
everyone wants.
yeah, what's the name of the team group chat?
And then John
there is
goes,
well, the thing is, it's like sometimes it's like you can share it, what it's called, like it's like safe to be shared. But I don't know, one from like my friends from high school, I cannot say what it is on the podcast. It's an acronym because the actual name is like too long for WhatsApp's like max character limit. But I'll tell you after. I can't say it on the podcast what it actually is because it's so bad. It's not like bad and like,
yeah, I was gonna say the way you're making it sound like you get like massively cancelled.
I won't get massively canceled. I just remember my parents listened to this show.
Oh, hi, mom and dad.
It's just not PG-13. It won't get me canceled. I just can't say it out loud. Look,
it's a bit inappropriate.
Yeah, it's inappropriate. I don't think Simon learned what it stood for until we were like 6 months into dating.
Oh dear.
Yeah. So, I guess also as well, I don't know. Was there any other quotes from that press conference that like stood out to you? For me, it was the one where they kept being like, not Keith Pelly because he just goes, I've only been here for 4 weeks.
I've only been here for 4 weeks.
But then it was like in Keith's little video that he filmed probably off the shores of Georgian Bay. People were like, "Oh, is he into the ocean?" I was like, "No. He's at his cottage in Georgian Bay." People were like, "Oh, did he get off to a beach?" I was like, "Sure, if that beach is along a Great Lake." Like, if I had gotten fired from my job and had the opportunity to go up to my cottage and get out of the crazy busy city where like people would recognize me, I would absolutely go up to my cottage and hang out there. and like hang out with my kid. I don't know, maybe his kids are still in school, but like along a lake. So he wasn't, anyways. But he took accountability and said it was his fault. Brendan Shanahan said it was his fault, but then passed the blame as well. Like it was this thing where it was like this weird ladder effect where people were like, it's my fault, but also look at all the things I did so that it's not my fault.
Mm,
And Brad
yeah.
Treliving said the same thing, being like, it's my responsibility, you
But
know.
it's also not.
But it's also not, because like Brad Treliving got handed like a really bad set of cards when he came, like, because Kyle Dubas, I think, fully would have traded Mitch Marner last season.
Yeah.
Would have, I think he would have done it. As much as people like to joke, being like, Kyle Dubas loves his guys, he absolutely would have done it. And then he gets fired, and then it's what, 6 weeks until the draft and free agency, and you're bringing in Brad Treliving. You're like, okay, make a hockey team.
And it's like, okay.
With the very limited money that you have, and with the keeping in mind you have to re-sign 2 of your big superstars this season, like, make it happen. And that's why I think so many of the guys that Brad Treliving brought in just seemed like guys. And so not to say like I don't blame, but like knowing how Brad Treliving works, he actually didn't do half bad.
No. He did. He tried his best with what he had.
Yeah. What he had was not a lot.
No.
And like the deadline wasn't, and the deadline,
probably
considering the fact that like actually I think the team got better after the deadline, and he didn't give up any major assets besides picks, which like I guess you could like you could say those are assets, but like he didn't give up like an actual player besides that one Russian prospect who probably will never play in North America. Right?
Yeah, so it's not the end of the world.
No. But they also said that they want to take due process with looking for a new head coach, which there is a short list that seems to include Craig Berube. Apparently he's had some interviews, and also Tom McClellan, who apparently now we're tracking his plane from LA to Toronto.
Do people not learn?
Marcie, have you learned nothing about Toronto sports fans? Is that we never learn. And we are the definition of insanity if the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
I've gathered.
So yeah, we're back to track, like, I don't know. I would rather Berube over McClellan, I will say. That's just my personal preference on who I would want as head coach, and I think a lot of people would agree with that. I don't know, there's other rumors about guys that are, I don't know. These are the only 2 guys who apparently apparently Craig Berube has done multiple days of interviews. I don't know how legitimate these rumors are. And then McClellan we see getting on a plane at LAX to Toronto. And then people tracked said plane, but no one showed up at the airport to be like, is Tom McClellan? Imagine showing up to Pearson Airport looking for Tom McClellan. That's boots on the ground reporting I should have done.
Yeah, come on, Emma, keep up.
Hey, my parents don't live that far from the airport, so if I had the car today. But yeah, I think there's a big focus on the summer for the Leafs. I think I don't want to say it's make or break, but I think it definitely is, like,
I fear it's going to be a devastating one for us.
Yeah, there's been some rumors about potential. I don't know. My thing is that, like, whenever and all I'll say on like how potentially devastating this could be is like, if you are asking a player to waive their no move clause, if you were asking a player to waive, you will never get the return that you would like had that player had not had a no move clause to waive. You're never gonna get the return you would want. And so then we're gonna do like, if certain trades happen that certain fans want to happen, you're never gonna get those like armchair GM, like cat friendly returns that you put together. And therefore you're going to be upset and mad about it. And you're gonna be like, we should have kept him. And then I'm gonna be like, well, you wanted to trade him, so without saying any without saying any specific names. But yeah. I don't know if you have anything else to pull from that press conference before we move on to other things, but
No, I think we've covered like all the key points. But yeah, I think one thing is just like, I know you've already mentioned it, but like the difference in like when they were talking about Samsonov and Wall and how I was sat watching that and I was like, oh
Samsonov's not coming back.
no. I feel we've seen the last of him, and that makes me really sad.
That makes me really sad, but like a thing I will say is like when NHL GMs and president of hockey operations and CEOs of ownership groups speak to the media, it's a very rare thing. I think I could count on 3 fingers, maybe this entire season, that Brad Treliving, not even Brendan Shanahan, Brad Treliving, the GM, has spoken to the media this year. Once at the start of the season, once halfway through after the trade deadline, once now. He was supposed to do one after the Riley crosscheck and then never did.
Yeah.
Probably because he was told to not get fined.
Yeah. He was like, guys, we can't afford this.
Yeah. Well, they can, it's MLSE, but like, yeah. And every single time, and I think, you know, people need to watch, like, if you only watch the media availabilities of like the front office, you need to watch the media availabilities of GMs across the league. They're all very, very particular with their words. They are given a list, or there's a meeting in which they are sitting with a PR, media relations person from the team, and they are talked through what they are allowed to and what they're not allowed to say, and how they should phrase responses to certain expected questions. If you work in PR, if you work in media relations, you're very good at like predicting what media members are going to ask, especially like when it's the Leafs, and a lot of these guys have been on the beat for the Toronto Maple Leafs like for quite a long time, and you know sort of who's going to ask what and that sort of thing, and how you should say it and how it should get phrased. And everything is said with purpose, everything is said for a reason, and nothing is said in a way that it isn't meant to, especially when they've had this much time to prepare. It's very different when it's a player like in a post game or something like that, because that's autopilot. But when this is like end of season and there's preparation, and you know, like, hey, you just fired your head coach, you're going to get asked about that. Hey, you have these 2 players who fans really want out of the organization who both have no move clauses. You're going to get asked about that. You are going into your 8th playoff, like you're coming out of like your 7th first round exit in 8 years. You're going to get asked about that. Like, you know, here's the things you're going to get, like, you know, and here's how you should answer them and that sort of thing. And so I think it was very telling in the sort of language that specifically Brad Treliving was more telling in how he was talking about, because he was the one who was answering questions about specific players more so than the other 2, because that's more of his job. But if you go back and look, like specifically when he's asked about players, listen to the language that he uses, and it's a very good indication of who is coming back next year and who is not.
Yeah, everything is said very intentionally.
Oh yeah, and And especially when it's Toronto Maple Leafs, those PR and media relations employees are getting paid a lot. Not a lot of money, but getting paid pretty good money by league standards because they have it. Some other Leaf news, I guess. We talked a little bit about Worlds last episode, but in that time between last episode and this one, John Tavares has joined Team Canada at Worlds. Already has a point on the board in their game, in the one game that he played against. What team was it? I was just watching this game too. I watched the first period, and now I don't remember which team it was.
Oh dear.
Oh, this is upsetting. Hold on. Denmark. I knew that because they were talking about how how Denmark had an extra goalie slot open on their roster for a certain former Leaf to maybe perhaps join join the roster should a certain game result happen tonight. But yeah, so Canada has won their first two matchups of the tournament. Red and white, baby, including winning their first game against Team GB. That one John Tavares clip.
Stop it.
Gonna use that forever now. I saw that and I was like, all right, I'm gonna need the NHL season to start back up, please, so I can use this whenever John Tavares scores a goal.
Oh no, it was a good game.
I will say it was closer than I thought it was gonna be.
It was, yeah, it was, because I was sat before and I was like, we're gonna get absolutely dicked. It wasn't horrific. 4-2, respectable loss. A
respectable loss. I think, I think Canada had some kinks to work out in terms of certain aspects. Power play was a little sloppy. There was some bad passes and some turnovers that had me yelling at the TV at certain players.
Yeah, no, it's annoying because when it comes to watching Team GB, we're too good for the division below, but too bad for this one.
I think also, like, you're in a pretty brutal group, though. Like, Group A is brutal. If you look at the group breakdown between the two, like, we never did this, like, when we were talking. We never did this when we were talking about Worlds last episode. But, like, Group A is Finland, Canada, Switzerland, Czechia, Denmark, Austria, Norway, and Great Britain. And then Group B. And then Group B is Sweden, Slovakia, Latvia, United States, Kazakhstan, Germany, France, and Poland.
Like, did they not take one look at us and just have pity?
Like, that's a pretty gnarly group. I mean, Team USA is not off to the greatest of starts. They've lost 2 of their first 3 games. That's a little. They're below Latvia in the standings.
Oh no, that's rough.
Go Latvia.
What I will say, my final thoughts on GB Canada is I'm very, very happy with the score because we played Finland yesterday, 8-0. We lost.
Yeah.
So I'll take 4-2.
Well, before you said that, I was just about to compliment your goalie for the game against Canada.
He incredible.
He played really well. Damn. Whistle was his last name. I was like, oh, there's too many jokes you can make with that.
No,
and then Liam Kirk was one of the goal scorers.
Big up Kirky.
He just signed a contract too after that game to now play in the German league.
Yeah, he's leaving it.
He's leaving you guys. And then O'Connor was the other goal scorer for Team GP. And then for Canada, it was Michael Bunting
Because
Michael
he scored.
Bunting. And then there was 2 goals by Connor Bedard, who I said to my parents while we were watching Denmark game, because he also scored in that game. I was like, this kid feels like a cheat code.
Yeah.
Connor Bedard is an absolute cheat code.
He's just
Can you
not
imagine him like
real.
on a team that's actually I guess we are kind of watching him on a team that's actually good, because there is some pretty good players
Mm.
at Worlds, but like
If he wasn't with Chicago.
think about like him like in a best on best tournament, like the four nations or the Olympics.
Oh, that would just be
That
incredible.
like Bedard, I don't know what other that like I don't know, you put out a line that's like Crosby, Bedard, and I don't
Me.
know. Honestly, you probably could put up like, well, you can't play for Team Canada, but you could put me out there. I could play for Team Canada. It'd still be a pretty sick line. But specifically for Team Canada, that Bunting Paul Bedard line just works so well.
It
Paul
was
being Nick Paul.
not my dad, Paul.
No. That line's really good too as well. It just works. They were talking about it, like the broadcast was talking about like how it just works with the different types of players that are on it, and it's like perfectly put together, and it is. Anyways, but yeah, so John Tavares is named captain of Team Canada. Good for him.
Look at him
Um,
go.
Look at him go. It's really funny when for him to play in the game against Denmark, they had to take Ridley Greig out of the lineup.
Oh, it's lovely the way the world works.
There's like too many narratives in Team Canada right now.
So much going on.
But yeah, so reunited with former teammate Michael Bunting. And then also as well, just another little newsy bit. The New Jersey Devils have been granted permission to speak with Sheldon Keefe. I think that would be a great choice for New Jersey to bring in as a new head coach. Obviously, because now their interim head coach, Travis Green, has moved on to Ottawa. They are in the search for a new head coach. I think he'd be great, especially with just how young that team is. And we can see how
Yeah.
Sheldon Keefe did with like a decently young Toronto Maple Leafs. And also as well, his experience with the Marlies and winning a Calder there. I think it'd be a good choice. Also, just gotta love adding just, more fun little narratives to happen every time
Oh,
the Devils and the Leafs play each other, because it's like every time it's just like interesting.
yeah, it's just like, what more? What else could we add in?
We're gonna skip ahead in my notes because I have the series listed out, but I got a notification while we were talking about the Leafs and Team Canada and things like that. We'll talk about Vancouver and Edmonton. R.I.P. Brock Besser's hat trick for all you lasted all of 10 minutes.
Duh, I'm just
At that point, like, I get it. Like, you
but like
have to, like, but
also
also at the same time, like, when it's for a hat trick, is it really that important?
like is
Do
it
you think,
gonna
was it
I,
Lindholm? Do you think Elias Lindholm would really care that much?
I think he'd like actively campaign for Brock Besser to be able to keep the goal.
That's the thing. I know that's the thing where I'm like, I think they like it's the playoffs, so it's not like it's like you're going after any regular season stats. I think you would
Let
probably
him
just be
keep the
like,
goal.
keep it.
Also, if I threw my hat,
Oh
I'd
my
be
God.
so
If
mad.
I was, because the game was in Edmonton too. There was Canucks fans there though, but like if I was one of the Canucks fans who like, I don't know, maybe traveled to Edmonton, because I think tickets in Edmonton were pretty cheap for the playoffs, if I remember correctly, compared to Vancouver.
Mhm.
If I had traveled to Edmonton or whatever, I live in Edmonton, but I'm a Canucks fan because that happens. Um, and I threw my hat, which like hats now, like especially if you're wearing one, like because you're wearing a Canucks hat or something because you're going to a Canucks
Expensive.
game, they're like $35. If I threw my hat onto the ice and it was for nothing because 10 minutes later it got changed to like Eliza, I would be pissed.
I'd be so mad.
I'd
Like,
be
that's a lot of money that I have spent on this hat. And now it's just
that like
gone.
for nothing, for nothing. But yeah, it's a very physical series, like all the playoff series, honestly. Have been pretty physical. I mean, I've heard like there's been some things coming out of the Dallas Avs series, but like I don't stay up late enough for those games, so I only see the highlights afterwards.
Yeah.
I went to bed after the Frockfester hat trick. That's how early to bed. I also had a headache, so I feel like it was justified.
Yeah. Listen, I went to bed all happy because I was like, bro, he got his hat trick. And then I wake up
The
and it's
Elliot Friedman
gone.
tweet notification.
Yeah, quite literally. And I woke up and I was like, because I like scroll through my notifications, like it's my newspaper every morning. And I'm like, oh, I wonder what people were up to whilst I was asleep. Yeah, they were fucking, oh, sorry. they were robbing Brock Besser of a hat trick.
Yeah. There's like the Zadorov tweet, not tweet. The Zadorov hit. Why did I say tweet? The Zadorov hit on Evander Kane, where he literally got hit into the Oilers bench. And then this is just my notes on a pretty physical series, and then the uncalled McDavid high stick on Quinn Hughes.
Yeah.
And this is when we start a discussion on inconsistent officiating.
Oh, our favorite. There's nothing we love more.
Nothing we love more than inconsistent officiating. So also as well, specifically, one play that's been the talk of the town today on the internet is the Zadorov and Susie double cross check on McDavid, which Zadorov got a 5,000 fine, which is the max under the CBA, blah, 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 blah. Susie had a phone hearing this afternoon, and while we were just recording the podcast a little bit earlier, Vancouver, he had been suspended one playoff game for cross-checking Edmonton Oilers captain Connor McDavid, which, if we play by the good old rule of one playoff game equals 2 regular season games, that is still less than Morgan Riley got.
No, I've literally in my notes, I've just put very Morgan Riley-esque.
That is still less than Morgan Riley got, because 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 is still smaller than 5. I passed grade 12 calculus and also first year calculus. I did take that. So
I have a GCSE.
I know math. Don't need to be a genius to tell you that one. But my thing is like the thing is here is like, and maybe that was taken into consideration when they were like doing it. I don't know. We haven't seen the video. Ooh, can we listen to the video?
Yes, because you look so excited.
Oh my god, I forgot about the video.
Genuinely, like when you remembered about the video, I thought life just like came back into your eyes.
Hey, you know how I feel about this mysterious man who does the NHL player safety. I still want him to do an audiobook. Or one of those, like, you know how like Harry Styles did that like sleep thing?
Yes. Oh my God.
NHL Department of Player Safety. Can we get this guy to do one of those, please? Could listen to his voice all day.
Well, that was an adventure.
Hold on. Here we go.
Haha.
I didn't hit the include sound toggle. We'll just cut that all out, and now I'm screen sharing, and now can you hear
Sunday
it?
night in Edmonton. Canucks defenseman
Oh, now we got
Marcie
lag.
Susie was penalized for forcefully cross-checking Oilers forward Connor McDavid after the game had ended. As the video shows, late in the third period, the Oilers have sustained pressure as they attempt to tie the game. The puck bounces behind the net as the game ends, and Soucy and McDavid end up behind the net facing each other. Soucy shoves McDavid, who retaliates with a slash to the leg. Soucy slashes McDavid back, then raises his stick with both hands, draws the stick back, and delivers a forceful, high, two-handed cross-check to McDavid that makes direct contact with McDavid's head. This is cross-checking. It is important to note that McDavid is cross-checked in the back by Canucks defenseman Nikita Zadorov as Soucy delivers his cross-check, a blow for which Zadorov was fined. And we acknowledge Soucy's argument that the cross-check by Zadorov is forceful enough to cause a change in McDavid's position and may contribute to Soucy's cross-check landing to the head. However, this does not change the fact that Soucy's actions merit supplemental discipline. This play happens well after the game has ended, and it is not a hockey play. In an altercation with an opponent, Soucy chooses to raise his stick to an unacceptably high level, draws the stick back, and delivers a two-handed blow which lands to his opponent's head. To summarize, this is cross-checking. Soucy has been suspended once and fined once during his 290-game NHL career. The Department of Player Safety has suspended Carson Soucy for one playoff
game.
game.
Okay, so that's that. That was the whole video. There was some lag though, but we'll just blame that on slow Wi-Fi. The one thing I will say that I want to take away from that video is the fact that they were like, he has been suspended before, but has no relevant the graphic said no relevant history. I do not know what Carson Soucy has been suspended for before. Actually, I don't know. Should we look that up? What is he business? Carson.
What crimes has he committed?
What? Carson Soucy suspension. But yeah, I mean, I guess like it's fair. Oh. This dog is my parents are dog sitting. But yeah, not a hockey bet play, which like true. For one game in March 2021 for a high hit on then Arizona Coyotes winger and now his teammate Connor Garland. He was also fined. That's via the Hockey News. Okay. So I guess yeah, then it's not really like it's not really relevant, I guess then, but it's really funny where they're like, he has been suspended, but then the graphic says no relevant history, but not a hockey play. Sure. I don't know. Department of Player Safety doesn't make sense to me anymore. I don't get it. There's no consistency that kind of like leads us like, sure, okay, suspend him for a game, whatever, blah, 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 blah. The thing is like, it then leads into the conversation that we'll have about the Bruins and Panthers series, where Sam Bennett had a hit on Brad Marchand, and it did enough, I don't know, damage or something. It injured Marchand on the play to the point that he had to miss game 4, which the Bruins lost after being up 2-0. And so Marchand's status is day to day. There and like the angle that we saw, I don't know, there's people saying like, oh, Sam Bennett punched Brad Marchand, but like the angle that we saw for like 2 days after was like, it didn't look like it because it was like not the right camera angle. It was like the camera angle where like Sam Bennett was like going behind Brad Marchand, so like the view was obscured, and everyone saw that, and everyone was like, oh. And then it was like turned into like I was I saw that and I was like, okay, maybe his hand comes up, but you can't really be 100% sure. Also, it's happening on Brad Marchand, so like there's a little bit of karma there on that
Yeah.
aspect. Like I
Just
can't
a
feel
little bit.
too bad for him. But then and of course it's Sam Bennett, which like there's some history there.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
yeah, not just, I don't know, I'm thinking back to like when he like WWE slammed Matthew Nyes and gave him a concussion. Just an incident that comes to my brain, when I think about Sam Bennett. But and then today, or was it was yes on yesterday's broadcast of the game, I think it was like, but it wasn't on the Sportsnet broadcast, they didn't show it. It was only on the ESPN broadcast that they showed this mysterious second angle of the play, which shows it from the other side, which I'm like, why did we not get that right away?
I was
Like
just not.
does no one check the check the cameras?
Yeah, like did they like just reenact it a day later? Or,
But you
like,
see, and then you
where's
can very clearly see the punch coming from there, where it was like, apparently the NHL reviewed it and we're like, don't need it. I'm like, okay, but did you review that angle? And that's where the inconsistency in officiating, especially during the playoffs, really like pisses me off. And then the GM of the Bruins spoke to the media today. He spoke to the media today, Don Sweeney, and he ripped the NHL for the lack of accountability. That's the headline from The Athletic. Yeah, they're not, and I think he just basically is saying, you want full access and transparency. I think it's more talk about how the NHL is calling for more access and transparency when it comes to the players in terms of like forcing players to be mic'd up. I think we talked about that earlier in this season when we were talking about the Amazon series. And he said he then called for officials to be placed in front of the microphone. They're the only ones that have the experience to be able to handle whatever interpretation they apply to Rule 69. Nice. The NHL released a statement after Sam Bennett's game-tying power play goal was upheld. There was a shove by Bennett on Charlie Coyle. It was like, then there was a whole discussion of like, what is goaltender interference? Which I will say that was a very like clear example of goaltender interference. Like, go back and watch the Sam Bennett goal where like he's shoved into his own goaltender, which like I get. It's look, it's like when it's two teams that you don't like as Leaf fans, it's like hard to be like, I just want like not to just like sit back and be like, I just want them to like tear each other apart and I get to watch the chaos, right? But also at the same time, when it's like it's done in this manner where the officiating is inconsistent, it's frustrating as a fan to be like, okay, so like this happens and I can't explain it. Like, I don't know. It's just like I don't know. More of my friends are getting into hockey because I don't know. I'm that bad of an influence. And I'll watch like whatever, and they'll be like, Emma, and they'll be like, hey Emma, like, why did this happen? And I have to sometimes I simply have to be like, I do not know. And they're like, Emma, I thought you were supposed to know like all about hockey and stuff. Couldn't tell you because I don't know. Because that's the NHL. And if it requires like rewriting rules in terms of to make them clearer, like do that. I thought that's what the GM meetings were for that we have twice a year. But yeah, Florida ended up winning a game, so now they're up to go up 3-1 in the series against Boston. There's another, so that series could end this week. Or not this week, it could end tomorrow. And then a series that could end tonight is New York and Carolina, as New York is up 3-1 after losing to Carolina last night. The other night. Not last night. It was Sunday. No, Saturday. Because for some reason they couldn't schedule a guaranteed Saturday night like Hockey Night in Canada game.
Yeah, it's
whatever. Yeah, I think even though what I will say about like Rangers and Hurricane series is that like even though the series is 3-1, and like New York Rangers were up, like had the chance to put it all away and like sweep the Hurricanes on Saturday, it's closer, like it's a pretty close series.
Yeah, it's closer than, well, I would say closer than I thought. I had it down as going to 7 games.
Yeah, I think you know what it is, like Carolina's power play going into Saturday's game was 0-15 that series, which like if the Leafs can tell you anything, it's hard to win without a functioning power play. And I think the Rangers just had been doing a good job to keeping Carolina's chances to the outside. And yeah, Shesterkin's been pretty good in net. Even Carolina's goalies have been good in net too, and like I think it's just that like if you're 0-15 on the power play, like you can't win.
Struggle.
They did score on the power play though in Saturday's game, and they won that game. So
yay, the joys of having a power play that works.
I know. Imagine.
Yeah, it must be nice.
There was that one goal in the Bruins Panthers series where it was on Jeremy Swayman, and it was someone took a one-timer from the slot on the power play. And I was like, and scored. I can't remember for the life of me who it was, but it was a Panther, and I was like, wow, I didn't know you could score on Jeremy Swayman like that on the power play. It's like a one-timer from the slot, and I was like, oh, you can score those types of goals on it? No idea. And like this is where it's just like, I don't know. I don't want to sit here and like break down the Leafs power play, but it was like, I don't know if you noticed this, but like it was kind of a trend all season. And especially when like their power play wasn't doing great, like in the playoffs, and like they had that stretch where they couldn't score on the power play. Was like they were doing like almost one too many passes before taking a shot on net.
Yeah, it was almost like no one wanted to
it was like, no, you take the shot. No, you take the shot. And like just when you think, okay, this is when you shoot it because the goalie couldn't follow it, you would make another pass that allowed the goalie to then track the puck. And then when you went to go take your shot, the goalie was right there and you're shooting at their chest, like not to be like this is what would have fixed it, but like I think if you did one less pass on every cycle that the Leafs were doing on the power play, maybe
it'd have worked a bit more.
Maybe it'd have worked a bit. That was just one thing I noticed, but like not. I don't want to sit here and break down the Leafs power play.
No,
we're not getting paid for that. Leafs gonna hire us as assistant coaches if they want us to do that. I'm sure they're probably gonna be looking for a couple. I don't know. Just as long as you keep like goaltending and video.
Yeah, like just please don't mess it up.
But
don't get rid of the people who were actually doing it right.
Yeah.
Doing that job.
Yeah. And then also as well, I don't know if you've been watching some PWHL playoffs. They're fun.
I know, I keep meaning to, but I've not had much chance recently because of the amount of work I've been doing. But I'm freed of that until Thursday.
Well, you can watch tonight. Well, actually, no, that game, Toronto and Minnesota. That game starts at 8 though, because it's in Minnesota.
I'll I'll watch a bit. I won't be awake for the end of it, but I'll definitely watch a fair amount of it.
Toronto's up 2-0 in that 5-game series. Best of 5, I should say. So they have a chance to win it tonight and sweep Minnesota,
Sweet.
who's been on a losing streak since the regular season.
Yeah. They've not fun.
No. But yeah. But there last night, was it last night or was it 2 nights? There was I know that's the dates don't feel real to me at the moment. I have to like almost go into the TSN app and look it up like yeah, it was last night. No, it was Saturday. Sorry. They didn't play on Sunday. On Saturday. So it wasn't even last night. On Saturday, I should have just written that down in my notes. On Saturday, there was a 3 triple OT in game 2 of Montreal versus Boston. That series, again, even though Boston is now up 2-0 because they did win that game in triple OT, it's been close. Like, that's the thing. Like, except, okay. Like, maybe the, like, Toronto, Minnesota hasn't been as close because Toronto has shut out Minnesota in 2 games. But Boston, Montreal is both games have been 2-1 that have ended in overtime. Which
sorry, I just have to.
Which is crazy. So
yeah,
if you want some fun, exciting hockey that's like close, definitely go tune into some PWHL playoff games. You know, if your team is out of the playoffs and you don't really feel like watching playoff hockey for teams that you don't like, tune in. Tune into those games. They're for free on YouTube. So like that's like the best part. It's like you can watch them for free on YouTube.
Yeah, I've got my grandma into them. I set her up with a YouTube account and I was like, right, because she usually stays up quite late because if she goes to bed before my granddad goes to bed, then he'll wake her up because for some reason he just slams every door when he's coming to bed. Because you can't be quiet when, you know, your wife's asleep. No. But yeah, so I was like, well, if you're ever up at like midnight, the YouTube app's the place to be. So she'll message me every now and then and she'll be like, oh, I watched a bit of the game before I went to bed. And I was like, yay.
Yeah. There has been some weird like deployment though of line, especially for Montreal, where it's if you look at the time on ice for Montreal, it's been weird. Like their 4th line deployment has been
I saw
really
it was like
weird.
very iffy.
Yeah, I wonder if there was I wish I like bookmarked that tweet because there was a very good chart from someone, I don't even remember who it was, that laid out the like deployment, like the time on ice. Now, because they didn't track that at the start of the season, but now they do. But
yeah, I saw that it was very interesting the way it was all.
Yeah, there's like a couple, like it was weird because there was some player, like there was one defenseman for PWH for Montreal that played 12 seconds. What's the point of even getting dressed if you're gonna play 12 seconds?
It's just crazy.
Or like Jillian Dempsey, who was like a big name in the PHL, played 137.
Ouch.
Meanwhile, like Aaron Ambrose clocked 61.33. It's just weird. Like I don't get it. I know like PWHL New York parted ways with their coach last week. You saw that news?
I did.
So I don't know. We'll see. I know definitely there's, when it comes to any new league, there's some learning, some growing pains, and things to get around, but we'll see. I don't know, just exciting hockey. It's exciting professional women's hockey at the end of the day, which is it's really fun to watch, which is for sure a good thing. Some other things that we want to talk about, NHL awards. There was an announcement today about when those will get handed out. The 5 major awards, so that's the Hart, the Vezina, the Norris, and the Calder. Oh, the Hart, Vezina, Norris, Calder, and Ted Lindsay will get handed out in Las Vegas on June 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern. There'll be a big awards ceremony. Hopefully it will not be as long as last year's. I think that one ran like, what, 2.5 hours?
It was so long.
Like, it was cool. There was performances, whatever, but like, did not have to be that long for hockey awards.
Yeah, no, there's a huge difference between like adding entertainment and making it like more exciting, and then adding entertainment for the sake of it to the point where it just drags.
I think it was
And
like
it's like
2.5 hours last year, and that
it was way too long.
was like too many commercial breaks, too many performance breaks. There was too many like bits that just like weren't funny.
Yeah.
Connor McDavid, not Connor McDavid, it was Connor Bedard putting on a cowboy hat. Like that was,
I was just like, okay, cool, but like, can we get back to like the actual awards, please? Because I don't understand. I have things to do outside of watching a performance in between awards that I genuinely just don't care that much about.
yeah. So yeah, it'll be held at the Fontainebleau, which I know nothing about Las Vegas in terms of hotels. Apparently it's a hotel and they have fan packages where you can book a room and then get tickets to the awards. Those go on sale at some point in May. I have like tickets will go on sale May 17th at 10 a.m. if you're really that interested in going. We will not be going because I do not have the money for that. That seems like a very
No.
expensive. Like I don't know how much those could be. But then
A
so those
lot.
5 awards will get handed out at the awards. So hopefully like if we can keep it down to like 45 minutes, I will be a very happy camper.
Yeah, please.
But then starting on May 14th, 8 awards will be announced during pre-game programming on Sportsnet and ESPN. Starting on the 14th with the Mark Messier Award, the Bill Master. Then it goes on the 15th, Bill Masterton Memorial Trophy. On May 18th is the Selke, so that's one of the ones that Austin Matthews is up for. On May 22nd is the Jack Adams. May 28th is the King Clancy Memorial Trophy. May 30th is the Lady Byng, another one Austin Matthews is up for. June 10th is the Jim Gregory General Manager of the Year Award. Those finalists will be announced May 20th to 26th. June 13th is the Willie O'Ree Community Hero Award presented by Hyundai. Why does it... Sorry, it's like, why does it has a sponsor? It's the only one that has a sponsor. And then then Calder, Hart, Norris, Ted Lindsay, and the Vezina will be on the 27th. And then the Willie O'Ree Community Hero Award for the US will be presented at the draft on the 28th. And then the EJ McGuire Award of Excellence for the top draft prospect will be also awarded at the draft on the 28th. So I kind of prefer it this way. You know what? I would have maybe thought that they would have included the Selke and the Jack Adams with like the rest of these, like the 5 big ones that are apparently getting like the majors. I guess they're now gonna, I don't know, the 5 major ones that the NHL sees as like deserving of being presented and announced at the NHL awards. But I do think maybe like the Selke, you could include the Selke and the Jack Adams. But
You'd think.
I would have thought, if not the Selkie, like the Jack Adams for sure.
Yeah. Like,
because it is like a coaching award. Like, I don't know. But again, not in charge of that sort of thing. And I'm sure they probably didn't want to cut out like any of the other ones if they only had time for 5. So yeah, they'll be in Las Vegas. That is going to be a very busy weekend for us and for anyone in hockey, because it goes like awards, draft day 1, draft day 2, a day off, because June only has 30 days. And then July 1st is free agency.
No.
Who decided this? And now
that was good for my heart.
And now like it suddenly makes a little bit more sense why NHL is going to a decentralized draft. So very similar to how the NFL and the NBA work, where it's not like the GMs and the scouting teams aren't going to be actually on the draft floor like they have been in years past. So they're able to hold it at the Sphere, which is, I still think it's crazy how they're going to like project these draft process. Like, imagine you don't know anything about hockey and you're like, why is this child on the side of the Sphere?
Why is this child, this absolutely massive child, just there?
Like, you know nothing about hockey and you're like, who is this child? Why is he on the Sphere?
Yeah, what has this child done?
I'm living in the Hunger Games.
It's like, and your next tribute
is Backward celebrating the Santas.
Oh.
Yeah, I just would love to know how much that cost them for 2 days.
Yeah.
Especially because like the second day of the draft always takes forever.
It goes. Oh, I
remember how long last year? Oh,
I sat through it all.
I don't know why you did.
Well, it's because I had my spreadsheet.
Did you spreadsheet the draft?
Yeah.
You're insane.
I'm spreadsheeting it again this year. I'm like, I've got it penciled in my calendar to start tomorrow.
You're insane.
Yeah, no, I do. I go around and I research and I get like loads of different like top 10 like first round predictions, and then I put them all in a massive spreadsheet, and then I use that to make my own predictions. And then as the draft is happening,
so do you only just do it for the first round, or did you do it for all 7 last year?
No, I got other predictions for just the first round, and then I spreadsheeted all 7 rounds.
You're mental.
You're
fun. Crazy.
I get to color code it. They were color coded
by team.
They were done by team. I'll pull it up after we finish recording, and then I think I also color coded by position. I told you about this.
You definitely have not told me about your draft spreadsheet.
No, I did, because I sent pictures of it to the group chat last year whilst it was happening. I'm clearly not important enough to remember. Okay, let's see how it is.
Like, which group? The big one?
Yeah. I know I definitely sent at least one picture of it because I remember taking the picture. But yeah, no, I love my spreadsheet.
Okay, so like in like 5 years from now, when a random draft prospect scores against the Leafs, you'll be able to like, I know that guy.
Yeah, but like, I wonder what, I recognize that name. I've heard it before. Yeah.
Meanwhile, when they were when Canada was doing their World Juniors, and I was like, I know that kid.
That's gonna be
his parents were making out at the draft after he got selected.
Oh.
That's how I remember drafts. But yeah.
Fun things that happen.
Yeah. Okay. One more thing. Oh, The one thing I have to, but I only wanted to bring it up because we could laugh at it, and that's why I left it for the end, sort of as like little chaotic moment at the end. Steve Dangle attempted to be an insider last week. It's so mean to laugh at him, but also like the whole like I don't know how this whole concept did not raise any red flags whatsoever.
Yeah, it was. Oh, Steve, what are you like?
And like the part of the reason why I think it like part of the reason why we took so long to record today was because I was waiting for today's STPN to drop, because apparently they were going to be talking about it, and in like the first 12 minutes, and it was just him being like, well, this is how I fell for it. But so it all apparently it was like 9:45 on a Thursday night. That was like my first like, why is this the time that you're choosing to drop some pretty major news, I'd say. In a now deleted video, he's wiped the video off the internet, so we don't even have like this 5-minute 40. I wish I downloaded it just for like longevity, because the video is now deleted. It was like 5 minutes and 45 seconds long too. It was a long video outlining a new 3-on-3 pro hockey league that would have a $30 million salary cap per team. There'll be 16 teams, which, if you do that math, that's about $500 million in just salaries alone, like player salaries. Apparently, it was going to be launching this fall, and it would draw from pro, junior, and college players. Also, as well, the name, stupid. It was like Major League Hockey. Like, okay, you have to hear that name and be like, that's the dumbest name I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yeah, like, come on.
Critical thinking here. But apparently he like went on, he like explained in the podcast how it was like someone had just like, he had reached out to someone that he had known for like 10 years or something like that about a different question that he was asking. And then that person that he reached out to brought this up, and then he did his research. Apparently there was a website that he saw that no longer exists, but apparently he has video of said website. And like the thing is like, then there were people like chiming being like, could be Saudi backed. Like, and then, okay, the people that I don't get is people being like, well, the Saudis are funding Steve Dangle's lifestyle. No, let's not be stupid. I wasn't that crazy. I just say, I was like, I'd be willing to bet money that if it was real, it's Saudi backed, because $500 million is a lot of money for three, which also that's the other thing too, where I was like, 3-on-3 hockey. I'm sorry. We complained about enough with NHL overtimes. It's so boring to watch. I'm sorry. Like, if we complain about overtimes and how boring they are at 3-on-3, if we complain then about the All-Star game being boring to watch at 3-on-3, how do you think like an entire league that runs alongside the NHL is going to work, especially when you're trying to draw from like NHL play? You're not going to be getting stars. Like, that's the thing too, as well, is like you're not drawing, like, I don't know, an Austin Matthews away from the NHL for this, because in order for it to be worth it for him, it has to be like, he has to get paid more than his $13 million, which like is already almost half of your salary cap.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense.
No.
Genuinely, I saw that and I was like, there's no way we're going through another like live golf situation like the PGA Tour and all that. And I was like, that was just more Saudi. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. It was just weird. 3-on-3 pro hockey league. I don't see it working. I don't know. If there is one that does work, call me stupid. I'll take it.
But yeah, it's just the entertainment value for it is just like not there.
It's not there. No.
At all. Like, who knows?
Who knows? I don't know. I just think, I don't know, some critical thinking would be nice.
That's quite a lot to ask though.
True. I don't know. I just definitely like if someone like said this to me, there'd be like too many red flags for me to ignore.
Yeah, I just feel like hold on a minute.
Like especially because there is a 3-on-3 hockey league that runs during the summer,
Yes,
which
there is.
makes more sense in terms of something that could exist and work and have success because you can still get like if it doesn't overlap with the NHL season, you're getting viewership, right? Like of people who want to watch hockey during the summer when there is no NHL hockey. And also you can draw from like NHL rosters. Maybe you're not drawing the top guys, but you can still have guys from NHL rosters like play in your league because they aren't playing anywhere else.
Exactly. It's
I still think 3-on-3 hockey is boring. I've watched enough overtimes to know that it's boring.
yeah, because it's like underdog. It's like sometimes it's like when people are like overtime's boring. I'm like, no, it's stressful. But if you take away the fact, like the whole concept of the next person to score wins the game, it's not stressful. It is just really, really dull.
Like that's the thing. If you're thinking, oh, it's just like it's exciting, it's like overtime. I'm like, watch an overtime, like watch an NHL overtime that's 3-on-3, so aka not during the playoffs, of a team that's between two teams you do not care about.
Mm.
Then come back to me and tell me that 3-on-3
You're
overtime
just
is
sat in
exciting.
there, because then you have to sit there and just be like, right, when's it over? How much longer do I have to sit through this?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's an interesting one.
It's an interesting one, and I thought I would like I don't know.
Mention it. Bring it up.
Yeah. Just sort of
Oh, Steve.
oh, Steve. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything else you wanted to add?
I don't think I do.
Oh, I meant to do this beforehand, but because we had them on the podcast a couple episodes ago. If you want a more like a very good read about that kind of just sums up the end of the Leaf season as a eulogy of sorts, actually, that's what they called it. We had Miranda on a couple episodes ago, writes for Offside News. They did a great job putting together a eulogy that better like sums up the end of the Leaf season better than we could ever do, and so like better words, just less rambling.
Less distractions, less detours.
Yeah. It's very good very good summary of sort of the end of the Leaf season, breaks it down into very nice sections. We'll leave a link of it in the description of this episode to go give it a read because it's like always very well written and sums everything up pretty nicely in terms of just like everything that happened after Game 7.
And a look at what could be happening during the
This
off-season.
summer. Yeah. So yeah, with that being said, thank you so much for listening. We'll end it here. We'll be back on Thursday with another episode. Hopefully we don't have to talk. Hopefully no Leafs talk in that one. I will find a way to bring up Worlds and Team Canada though.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Naturally, as one does.
Who's surprised? Not me.
No. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for listening. Yeah, that's all. Of course. Where you can find the show, anywhere you get your podcast, make sure to go follow us, give us 5 stars on Spotify. We really do love it. Because it tells us that you guys like the show too. You can follow the show on Twitter at From the Fourth Line. That's 4 with the number 4th. You can follow Marcie on Twitter at 60leaps. You can follow myself at PairB1. That is all for today's episode. Thank you. And bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.